Let me tell you my story. My name is Ronaldo Luis Nazario de Lima, but maybe you know me better as O Fenomeno. Football was my life, and for me, it was always about the feeling of speed, the power, and most of all, the pure joy of scoring goals, running at defenders, feeling the ball at my feet, seeing the goal open up. That was everything to me. My career, well, it had some incredible moments. Winning World Cups for Brazil, being named the world's best player. But it also had some really tough times, especially fighting back from knee injuries that almost took the game away from me forever. It's been quite a ride, a story about loving the game, pushing limits, and finding the strength to come back. It all started for me back in Rio de Janeiro, where I was born on September 18th, 1976. I grew up in Bento Ribeiro, a neighborhood where life wasn't always easy. My family worked hard, but we didn't have a lot of money. Still, it was home. Like almost every kid in Brazil, football was my world. We played constantly, usually on the streets, sometimes without proper shoes. We learned to control the ball on rough ground. Futsal, the indoor game, was also huge for me. Playing with that small, heavy ball in tight spaces really helped me develop my dribbling skills, my quick feet. That's where a lot of the close control came from. Even when I was very young, I knew I was fast and I loved scoring goals. That was the best part. My hero was Zico, the amazing number 10 for Flamengo in Brazil. I dreamed of playing like him one day. I started playing for small local clubs like Social Ramos Club and then São Cristóvão. It was there that people really began to notice my ability. I was scoring a lot of goals against older boys. A great player from the past, Jairzinho, who won the 1970 World Cup, he saw me play and believed in my potential. He helped open some doors for me. It wasn't always simple back then. Sometimes just getting to training could be difficult if you didn't have money for transport. But my mind was always set on football. My first big professional chance came in 1993. I was just 16 when I signed for Cruzeiro, a big club based in Belo Horizonte. Leaving Rio was a big change, but I knew it was a necessary step for my dream. I started playing for their first team very quickly, and I found I could score goals even at the professional level. In my first full season, I scored many goals in the Brazilian Championship and also in the Copa Libertadores. Playing against experienced defenders was tough, but my speed and instinct for goal helped me succeed. The newspapers in Brazil started writing about me, calling me the next big star. Things moved incredibly fast. Early in 1994, before I even turned 18, I received my first call-up to the senior Brazil national team. Putting on that famous yellow shirt for the first time, it's a feeling I can't really describe. Just incredible pride. To be training alongside great players like Romario and Bebeto was amazing. Then, a few months later, I was chosen for the Brazil squad that went to the 1994 World Cup in the USA. I didn't get to play in any matches during that World Cup. I was the young kid on the team, there mostly to learn and gain experience. I watched from the bench as Romario and Bebeto led us to win the tournament, Brazil's fourth World Cup title. It was amazing to be part of that winning squad, to see the celebrations, to understand the pressure and the joy of the World Cup. It made me even more determined. I told myself, next time, I want to be on the pitch, scoring the goals. Soon after the World Cup, when I was still 17, I made the big move to Europe. Several clubs were interested, but I decided to join PSV Eindhoven in the Netherlands. Romario had played there before me and done very well, so it seemed like a good place to start in Europe. Moving to the Netherlands was a huge adjustment. I was still a teenager, far from home, living in a very different culture with a different language and much colder weather. It wasn't easy off the pitch, but on the pitch, I felt comfortable almost immediately. The Dutch league was competitive, but maybe a bit more open than some other leagues, and my style seemed to fit well. I started scoring goals right away for PSV. My speed, my power, my dribbling ability, and my finishing, it all came together. In my first season, I was the top scorer in the league. Over 2 seasons there, I scored more than 50 goals in just under 60 games. It was a great introduction to European football. It announced my arrival. However, my time at PSV wasn't without problems. I started experiencing some pain in my right knee, which needed surgery near the end of my second season. It was my first significant injury concern. Looking back, maybe it was a warning sign related to my explosive movements. Despite this, my performances meant that the biggest clubs in the world were now chasing me. In the summer of 1996, I signed for FC Barcelona in Spain. I was just 19, turning 20 early in the season. Barcelona is a huge club with an incredible stadium, Camp Nou. Playing there was amazing. My coach was Sir Bobby Robson, an experienced English manager who really believed in me and let me play with freedom. That one season I spent at Barcelona, 1996 to 97, was something truly special. It's hard to explain, but I felt completely free and powerful on the pitch. I felt like I could beat anyone, score from anywhere. My speed felt electric. My dribbling felt unstoppable. It was just pure joy playing football like that. I scored so many goals that season, but the one people always ask about is the one against Compostela. I remember getting the ball deep in my own half. I just started running towards goal. Defenders were trying to catch me, tackle me, even pull my shirt, but I just kept going, using my strength to stay on my feet. I went past one, then another, running at incredible speed until I was inside the penalty area. I went around the goalkeeper and put the ball in the net. Watching the replay, seeing Sir Bobby Robson's reaction on the bench, hands on his head in disbelief, it showed how special that goal felt to everyone. Across the whole season, I scored 47 goals in 49 matches. It was an unbelievable number. We didn't win the league title that year. Real Madrid beat us to it, but we won 3 other trophies: the Spanish Cup, Copa del Rey, the Spanish Super Cup, and the European Cup Winners' Cup. My performances were recognized when I won the FIFA World Player of the Year award for 1996. At 20 years old, the youngest ever, it felt like a dream. But surprisingly, my time at Barcelona ended after just that one season. There were issues with renewing my contract. The negotiations became very complicated between the club and my representatives. It was disappointing because I was happy playing there, but these things happen in football. So, I had to move on again. My next move, in 1997, was to Inter Milan in Italy. Another world record transfer fee. Serie A was known as the toughest league in the world then, with legendary defenders and very tactical football. It was seen as the ultimate test for an attacker. The Italian fans quickly gave me the nickname Il Fenomeno, the phenomenon. The expectation was huge. I embraced the challenge. I knew I couldn't just rely on speed alone in Italy. I had to be clever, use my skills more carefully, protect the ball better. I learned a lot playing against those great Italian defenders week after week, and I still managed to score many goals, including some that I think were among my best. In my first season, we had a great campaign in the UEFA Cup. We reached the final against Lazio. I remember that final well. I scored the third goal in our 3-0 win. It was the one where I did the quick step-overs in front of the goalkeeper, Luca Marchigiani, making him go down, and then I just went around him and scored into the empty net. It felt great to win a European trophy with Inter in my first year. My success continued with individual awards too. In 1997, I won the FIFA World Player of the Year award again, and I also received my first Ballon d'Or. So, at 21, I had achieved so much. I felt strong, confident, and ready to lead Brazil into the 1998 World Cup in France as the reigning world's best player. Going into the 1998 World Cup, Brazil were favorites, and I was expected to be the star. The tournament started well for me. I scored 4 goals leading up to the final. We reached the final against France, the host nation. Everyone expected a great match. But then, just hours before the final, something strange and scary happened. While resting at the team hotel, I apparently had some kind of medical episode, a convulsion. My roommate Roberto Carlos called for help. There was a lot of panic and uncertainty. I was taken to a hospital for tests. Initially, the decision was made that I could not play in the final. My name was removed from the team sheet. But later, after the tests showed nothing seriously wrong, and just before the game, I insisted I felt okay and wanted to play. After discussions, I was put back into the starting lineup. Looking back, playing in that final was a difficult experience. I was on the pitch, but I didn't feel right. I felt tired, lacking energy and focus. I couldn't impact the game in my usual way. France played very well that day, with Zidane scoring 2 headers, and they beat us 3-0. Losing a World Cup final is always painful, but for me, the circumstances around the match made it even harder. After the disappointment of the World Cup, I returned to Inter Milan. But then my career took a devastating turn due to injuries. In November 1999, during a match, I injured my right knee. It was a serious tendon injury that required surgery and meant I would be out for several months. It was my first really major injury layoff. I dedicated myself completely to the recovery process. It was long and difficult, but I was determined to get back. Finally, in April 2000, I made my comeback appearance in the first leg of the Italian Cup final against Lazio. I came on as a substitute in the second half. The fans were excited to see me back. But just minutes after entering the pitch, disaster struck again. I tried a simple dribble, and my right knee just completely gave way. The pain was indescribable. I knew immediately it was extremely serious. The tendons in my kneecap had completely ruptured. The doctors who performed the surgery said it was the worst type of knee injury they had seen in football. The damage was extensive. Many people, including medical experts, predicted that my career was finished. They said I would never be able to play professional football again. Hearing that, at only 23 years old, was devastating. The physical pain was immense, but the mental battle ahead was even tougher. Facing almost 2 years without football, with no guarantee I could ever return to my previous level, was the most difficult challenge of my life. But I refused to accept that my career was over. Deep down, I still believed I could come back. I had an amazing medical team around me, and I committed everything to my rehabilitation. It was an incredibly long and painful process. More surgeries, countless hours of physiotherapy, exercises to rebuild the muscles around the knee. There were good days and bad days, moments of hope and moments of despair. But the dream of playing for Brazil again, especially with the 2002 World Cup approaching, kept me going. After almost 2 years away from competitive football, I finally started playing again towards the end of the 2001-2 season. There were still many doubts about my fitness and whether I could handle the intensity of a World Cup, but the Brazil coach, Felipão Scolari, showed incredible faith in me. He included me in the squad for the World Cup in South Korea and Japan. Just being there felt like a victory after everything I had been through. Maybe I wasn't quite as fast as the 19-year-old version of me, but I felt I had gained experience and mental strength. I was incredibly motivated to prove the doubters wrong. We had a fantastic team, especially in attack with Rivaldo and the magical young Ronaldinho playing alongside me, and from the very first game, things started to click. I scored against Turkey, then against China, Costa Rica, Belgium, and Turkey again in the semi-final. The goals were flowing. I felt my confidence return with every goal. It felt amazing to be back, scoring important goals for Brazil. We made it all the way to the final against Germany. Their goalkeeper, Oliver Kahn, had been outstanding throughout the tournament. For me, this final was the chance to finally win the World Cup properly, after the disappointment of 1998, and to complete my comeback story. In the second half, Rivaldo hit a shot that Kahn couldn't hold, and I was there first to score the opening goal. Later, Rivaldo set me up again, and I scored my second goal to make it 2-0. Hearing the final whistle blow, it was an explosion of emotion. Tears streamed down my face, but this time they were tears of absolute joy and relief. We had won the World Cup for the 5th time, and I had finished as the tournament's top scorer with 8 goals. After the nightmare of the injuries, this felt like the ultimate redemption. It proved that anything is possible if you fight hard enough and never give up. My comeback was recognized around the world. I won the FIFA World Player of the Year award for the 3rd time in 2002, and I also received my 2nd Ballon d'Or. To return to the top after such a devastating injury was incredibly satisfying. Following my World Cup success, I decided it was time for a new club chapter. I moved back to Spain, joining Real Madrid in the summer of 2002. It was the famous Galacticos era, playing in a team with Zidane, Figo, Raúl, Roberto Carlos, later Beckham. It was an unbelievable collection of talent. My job was clear: score goals. Even though the serious injuries had maybe taken away that extra burst of speed I had when I was younger, I adapted my game. I relied more on my positioning in the box, my intelligent movement, and my clinical finishing ability. I still scored many goals for Real Madrid, over 100 during my time there. In my first season, we won the La Liga title, It was fantastic to train and play alongside such legendary players every day. However, as a team, maybe we didn't achieve as much as the talent suggested we should have, particularly in the Champions League, which we failed to win while I was there. Keeping my body at peak condition after the major surgeries was also an ongoing challenge during my Madrid years, and sometimes my fitness was questioned in the media. I played in my last World Cup for Brazil in 2006. I scored 3 goals, which made me the all-time leading World Cup goalscorer at that time. But as a team, we were disappointed to lose to France in the quarterfinals. My time with Real Madrid ended in early 2007. My next move was back to Italy, joining AC Milan in January 2007. This meant I had the rare experience of playing for both Inter and AC Milan, and also both Barcelona and Real Madrid. I enjoyed being at Milan initially, but unfortunately, my injury bad luck struck again. In February 2008, I suffered another severe tendon injury, this time in my left knee, during a match. It was unbelievable. Another major surgery, another long period of recovery. People definitely thought this was the end now, but I still had the desire to play. After recovering, I decided to return to Brazil for the final stage of my career. In 2009, I signed for Corinthians, a huge club in São Paulo with passionate fans. The reception I received from the Corinthians fans was incredible. Playing back home felt special. Although I was nearing the end, I could still contribute. I scored some important goals and helped the team win the São Paulo State Championship and the Brazilian Cup. It was wonderful to win trophies in Brazil again. But the years of injuries had taken a heavy toll on my body. The pain was becoming constant. It was getting harder and harder to train and play at the level I wanted. So, in February 2011, I made the emotional decision to retire from playing football. My body just couldn't continue anymore. I was blessed to win 2 World Cups, 3 FIFA World Player of the Year awards, 2 Ballon d'Or, and many other trophies with great clubs. Could I have achieved even more without the injuries? Perhaps. But I am incredibly grateful for the career I had, the joy football brought me, and hopefully the joy I brought to fans around the world. Being named among the greatest strikers in the history of the game is something that makes me very proud. It truly was an amazing journey.